This podcast is for adults only, should not be used as a meal replacement, and may contain nuts.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Noobie and the Doobie. My name is Timmy. I am the Noobie.
Marijane, I am the Doobie.
We are very excited to have with us today on the spot Rye Guy from Canna Publishing, someone that we have recently gotten a chance to meet and know, and quite frankly, what he has published is going to be, I believe, very helpful in my journey.
Yep.
And it's going to be very helpful in lots of other people's journey. We'll talk more about that as the show goes on. But Rye Guy, thank you so much for being on the Noobie and the Doobie with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me on. It's an honor, and I'm just so excited to be here.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So
are we going to talk about our first meeting?
Yeah, let's go right to the beginning,
it.
and then we'll talk about your journey of cannabis and all that. But let's go.
Sure.
I love first.
All
first
right, let's do the
first time.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so our first meeting with you, I believe, was at Lyft.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And now, what were we dressed as that day? I was.
Was it 80s or was it Care Bears?
That day, you guys were in your onesies, I believe.
Okay. So we're the Care Bears.
And that you might have been, threw you in.
Actually, I think you might have been wearing the 80s, because I do remember the short shorts and the and the skates,
the roller skates.
That's right. That's right.
Most people remember the short shorts.
But you were asking people to dress up in the onesie that day. That's what I remember.
That's right. Yeah. Well, the thing that I love, and I don't know if you took advantage of this thing, but what I love about these online shows is not only do I not have to wear short shorts, I don't have to wear pants at all. It's one of the most freeing experiences. If you want to take a moment to get more comfortable, a lot of people don't understand that. That's just
absolutely. That's one of the benefits of doing meetings or podcasts like this.
Right?
Is you can kind of be a little bit more chill.
Some people were like, "Oh, I don't like, when COVID happened, everybody was going online," and I'm like, "What? For you seriously? For like 2 years, I didn't have to wear pants. It was one of the most beautiful gifts that were given to me."
He would literally just crawl out of bed in the morning and just like walk across the room and sit in the chair with his like dress shirt on and
I would
his
do a comedy
jacket,
show
and I was
just
like,
the
"Where's
top
your
part of my
pants?" He's
suit.
like,
"Oh yeah."
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Well, depending on what side of the camera you were sitting on.
So we meet you at Lyft, a great networking event. I mean, every event really. I mean, MJ often says, she almost feels bad that she's just going to see her friends.
Yeah, I don't network.
And that's really
I don't know
what
the meaning of
that's
the term.
what networking is.
No, I like my friends. I like people.
Like, why do you go to the events for the event, or really? Come on, break it all down. It's really because you go for the people, right? You go to see the people and to talk to people.
Well, for me, Lyft was like my first event actually getting out there. And the reason why I was there is because I won the Bud Tender Scholarship Award from Lyft. And
congratulations.
So that's why
I got that too.
Oh, so there you go.
Yay, certified Bud Tender.
And then that's what brought me there. And then when I was there, I was using that as an opportunity to promote Canna Publishing. And then that's how I kind of met you guys.
That's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, I actually took my cancel like not long before Lyft.
Like the day he was accepted, I was like, "When are you going to do your cancel?" He's like, "Now." Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I got that, and then we submitted for the scholarship, so I got the scholarship.
That was interesting, actually. Timmy doing the cancel, because he was the first non-cannabis consumer that I know that took the cancel. Everybody else was already had this pre-existing cannabis experience. I don't want to say knowledge, because you did have cannabis knowledge.
Yeah, I learned more from MJ and from doing this show than I learned from that entire cancel video.
It was interesting.
We're gonna do a whole video on my experience with the cancel video.
Right on.
Gets Timmy going.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for learning things like teaching Timmy and word of the week and stuff that we used to do on this podcast, I don't know. I think I phased out halfway through the cancel video. I was like, oh, I don't want to hear this guy again.
It was very scary.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, even for me, I thought I needed the cancel to come to the event, so I did my cancel like the night before, and you only get like 2 chances to pass. So I went through all the modules, and then I'm like, I got to take a smoke break. So I went out and had a smoke, and I came back, and by that time I'm looking at the test, and I'm like, I don't know if I should be doing this right now. But anyway, I went through it, no problem. I got like 95% and got the cancel, so it worked out.
So were you planning to go to Lyft prior, and then you just got the scholarship and you're able to kind of get in through that way, or was that what got you into Lyft?
That is pretty much what got me into Lyft. I just happened to see like on Instagram that they were doing that, and then I've always wanted to get my cancel, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity. So I wrote up like a little essay just saying how I want to like spread knowledge and learn as much as I can, and I think that's like a great path is becoming a bud tender, and that's pretty much what I submitted, and then I was accepted, and just from there went to Lyft, and it's just been like a little bit of a wild ride ever since then.
Well, I can see your two of the journal covers are behind you up there on the wall, so already
that's right,
you're
over here.
Yep, you're grabbing hold of that marketing aspect. You're like, okay.
Yeah, and on his first podcast interview, apparently. So
yeah, this is my first time.
Excited. I'm blessed at the same time.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, we're excited to have you here because we're excited about having people that maybe other people don't know. Like there's one aspect where you just kind of want to bring in the people that everyone's like, ooh, they got that person. But then there's also this thing of going,
no, I like interesting people.
Yeah, well, that's what we talked about.
With interesting ideas and interesting stories and things, and that's basically why you're on this wild ride that you're saying right now, is because you're an interesting person.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
you have
that.
You have an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Right. I have mine right here.
Yeah. Oh, right on.
So, and it's really, I don't want to get too much into this yet, because I always want to start out with the question of your first time consuming. But like, I feel like you're filling a void in the educational aspect of cannabis, which is something that we've been lacking. So even though you're just like Lyft was like your entrance, we've been all sitting here like this, waiting for something.
Waiting
like
for Rye Guy.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate that so much. That really makes me feel good hearing that, and makes me feel like I'm really onto something here.
Oh, no, you truly are.
Yeah, I believe you are, and
but I'm like, let's go back.
Yeah, but we are. Okay. I got mine here too. So
I'm like, let's go back.
I always got one around. So
that's actually my favorite cover, to be honest, is the rainbow cover, and I did see quite a few of them online, which I'll tell you about after. But I'm like, no, go back, MJ, go back. So obviously, your love of cannabis had to start somewhere. So without incriminating yourself, I don't want you to get in trouble with your parents or anything like that, but like don't get an older sibling, you know what I mean, in trouble at family functions or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I'm curious about your first experience. Did you smoke it? Did you eat it? Was it good? Was it bad? Did you do it again quickly after? Did you swear it off? Like that sort of thing.
Okay, so
go.
Okay, so basically, like when I was younger, I was like totally against cannabis and other things, and I was very straight laced and like totally against it. And what started happening were the people around me were consuming. So, and I was about maybe 15 years old. My brother was consuming, and his friends, and they were keep trying to offer to me, and I was like dead against it. And but then what ended up happening was I ended up going through like a really bad breakup. I was like heartbroken, and they just caught me at that time when I was down, and I tried it with my brother, and that was it. We had like we were in the basement of our house. Sorry, Mom. We're in the basement, and you know, we got the toilet paper rolls with the dryer lint over it to try and cover up the smell and everything.
Yep.
And yeah, so basically my brother and his friends rolled up a doobie and we smoked it, and we got the giggles, we got the munchies, you know, and it just changed my perspective. Like, it got me really thinking about why I was so upset about that relationship, and got me to think about things I never thought about before. So after that, it started becoming like a regular thing. Like, my brother was working and I was still going to school. So what was happening is, like, it was something we just did on the weekends. You know, we'd hang out, and group of friends get together, maybe have a couple of drinks, and then somebody pull out the doob and pass it around, and just have a good time, put on some good music, and that was pretty much it. And so basically, since I was 15, I've been consuming off and on. There was a period of time where I ended up having a bad experience where I greened out. I think I just consumed too much, and also I was mixing with alcohol and tobacco. And then I had like a bad, like, I figured I greened out because I was having like feelings of anxiety. So after that it happened, it seemed like every time I consumed, that would like flare up. So I stopped consuming for about a year. And then after that, I just had like an inkling, like, you know, somebody was smoking, and I just said, oh, I'm going to try it again. And next thing you know, it was just all gone. And this hasn't really happened to me again.
Yeah, that paranoia that they talk about that comes with cannabis, like, I remember the paranoia, and there's two different types of paranoia, I think, that come with cannabis consumption. There's the paranoia that we joke about, that like everybody knows I'm high, like, and that was when I was a teenager, like when you weren't supposed to be high, you know, like the teacher knows, oh my God, they can smell it, or they can see the red eyes or whatever. There's that paranoid. But then there's that paranoid you're talking about. It's that all of a sudden my heart starts to race, and I feel like there's something wrong inside, but I know I'm just high. Like, my brain is like, okay, you're just high. But I find cannabis doesn't do that to me anymore. So I can see why you said, like, I like, oh, I'm going to step back from this for a bit because I don't like that feeling.
But, you know, like, just like you said, once you figure out what it is, like, you know, you kind of understand it better. And like, for me, if that were to ever happen again, I know it's just going to ride out, you know? So it's just a matter of calming yourself down, drink some water, maybe even get some CBD, and just ride it out, you know?
Yeah, there's tricks that we learn. Like Neil Diamond used to say with the black pepper, because it's got caryophyllene in it, and caryophyllene will bring you down. Yeah. So, like,
Neil Diamond offered so many gifts to the world.
Well, it's funny because you're saying that night you're pretty sure you greened out, but you were mixing cannabis with alcohol and tobacco. And by the sound of that, it sounds like you're not a regular tobacco user.
No.
So I will say there have been nights where I was so, like, I would swear I was like, I threw up black, but I drank a clear liquid, like it was vodka. Like, I'm like, I don't understand how it was black, but I smoked that night, and I was not a cigarette smoker, and I was so ill. And then this whole thing has got me thinking about this. I'm like, because if you don't know what you're consuming and you don't track it, and something goes wrong, it's like a food diary.
For those who are listening only, MJ tends to forget that sometimes we're not only on video. She's holding up the Cannabis Experience Journal, which is what Rye Guy and Canna Publishing has put together. So just trying to keep our listeners.
Well, you see, you mentioned it earlier in the background, so I apologize if I just assumed our listeners were.
Yeah, we don't care about the listeners.
No,
we just want the watchers.
We want the viewers.
The
Come to YouTube.
Clearly, the education and what you're doing here with the journal. I want to touch back on one thing that you said too, when you said I was kind of straight-laced and I didn't really know about it or talk about it.
That's it. Straight.
Why were you straight? Mine was because I grew up in a very conservative religious home and in the church, and so it just simply wasn't talked about. And if it was like, well, that's going to take you straight to hell. So I didn't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Why were you against it? Were you in a home that was against it, or was it just you just didn't know anything about it and hadn't crossed your path?
Well, it's a little bit all of that. I think a lot of it was just there's a lot of stigma around it, and I was just hearing a lot of that growing up. Like there's people in my family that were consuming when I was younger, like my aunt and my uncle. But when I was a kid, I never knew that because they always kept it away from us. But you would hear people talk about it like, drugs are bad, this and that, and it gets associated with all these bad drugs. And that's what was going on in my mind, was this isn't good for you. But once I consumed it and then see the benefits that it offers me, it changed my mind, because I realized it's not as harmful as some of these other things that people are consuming, for example, like alcohol, tobacco, even junk
Sugar.
food.
Yeah. I would say sugar has caused more problems and killed more people than cannabis ever will.
Yeah.
That's funny. I got this is a segue for my. Okay, good. I still have the right one on.
What does it say?
Marijuana is safer than the police. Yes.
Yeah, I'm showing.
Absolutely.
I'm showing again. Right.
Well, that's why we encourage
never
people.
Killed anybody.
Look, we're good-looking people here. You can't just be listening to us.
Oh, and for those that are listening, I just lifted up my sweater.
Yeah.
So come to you too.
That's a reason to come to you too.
You're welcome.
So Rye Guy, you're growing up. You hear all these bad things about cannabis.
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah. I remember seeing that commercial.
But what about did you drink at all? Did you smoke at all? Like nicotine? Did you take part in any other things that were bad for you, but maybe didn't have the same stigma for some weird reason? Because people say, "Oh, I didn't want to go with cannabis because it was said it was bad for me." But then, meanwhile, they're drinking every weekend and smoking cigarettes, and it's kind of like, wait, why the disconnect? Would that be true with you, or did you keep clean of everything?
I was pretty much clean of everything until around that point, and then I started experimenting because when I realized that the effects of cannabis wasn't as bad as people are saying, I started experimenting with other things like alcohol, and I never really got into smoking tobacco. Is not really my thing, but I used to consume a lot of alcohol. My dad was a functioning alcoholic, so he was drinking every day, but going to work and supporting us. And he when he got older and retired and everything, we had a lot of good times drinking together and stuff like that. So but for me, my thing is cannabis. I don't like drinking alcohol and mixing cannabis. I'd rather just have one or the other. And really, I don't like the effects of alcohol where you can lose control of yourself, or if you consume too much, or even having a hangover the next day and you have to go to work or something like that. I can't do that stuff anymore. I'm getting older. So I just, mainly stay with cannabis. And if I am consuming alcohol, I try not to mix them together. But yeah, around that time, it was like a time of experimenting for me. And I just started trying everything, even tried some of those mushrooms you hear about here and there. And, but I find,
kind.
Yeah. So what I find worked for me was cannabis. It helps me stay in my lane. I don't get hungover, and it just works better for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I was probably in the same boat. I was experimenting, especially like you say, you get taught all this stuff about cannabis and how it's bad. And then when you try it and you're like, that doesn't really correlate with what I've been told. You kind of feel the same way about everything else. It's kind of like, wait, you lied about Santa Claus? Does that mean the Easter Bunny's not real either? And then you're like, what about the Tooth Fairy? And then your whole world just comes crashing around you. So
pretty much,
I understand. I was like, okay, so I'm going to experiment with this and this. Of course,
why are we just brushing over the Santa Claus?
I always drew the line I always.
Is this the first time you've been here? No.
I'll tell you
What
later.
is it? Why are you guys just letting this thing go? I'm just blown away here.
I always feel like there was a line. I feel like everybody has a line where you won't cross that line into the next level. Like I can say I've never injected myself with any drug.
Yeah, I've never done that either.
But I'm not innocent. Like I just recently found out that one of the drugs I tried, which I was told was speed, I tried it once. I found out only just recently, now I'm talking like 15 years after doing it, did I find out that it's actually speed is methamphetamine.
Oh, okay.
That it's crystal meth. It's just the street name is or whatever, like it's the same thing. And I was just like, what? Like I felt really disgusted because like I said, everybody has that line. And in my head,
you had crossed it there.
That's where the line I had crossed it. And I was like, but like I personally now I haven't done any powder chemical. The only like pharmaceutical thing I've ever done since like I said, like 15 years ago. Actually it's probably been like 20 now. God, I feel old.
Yeah.
But it's been like doctor prescribed stuff, and I try and take that as little as possible. I try and do as much as I can holistically. Like I used to have stomach acid that I would take a Prevacid every single day, and if I didn't take it, I knew the next day because all of a sudden I was like, my stomach is killing me. What hurts? Why is it so? Oh, but now. I don't even take anything for it anymore. A, because my diet is a lot better than it used to be. And B, because when I used to suffer, I started taking baking soda instead. I would just take, I would either do it half a teaspoon baking soda in a shot glass of water, and you take it like a shot and then follow it with water. Or you could put it in those little empty gel capsules that you get at the health food store and just shove them into your mouth and put it directly in your stomach. And it did basically the exact same thing. And it was way less expensive.
So there you go.
Yeah. So
when you said that cannabis helps you stay in your lane, what does that mean?
Well, I tend to be like an overthinker. Like I'm always thinking. I describe myself as like kind of introverted, or I get myself in these situations where I feel like I'm shy or I can't get out what I want to say because I'm too much up in my head thinking I'm gonna say the wrong thing or don't say that or this blah 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 blah. So what I find though is when I'm consuming, it helps me collect my thoughts better. And I speak with more intention, and I'm more aware of my thoughts as well.
It's funny because
rather than it being like all over the place,
Yeah, like when people will say, it's like, oh, I can't believe Rye Guy would use cannabis for that. Like that's bad, and yet we do the same thing with like, okay, I'm about to go into a speaking presentation, whatever it may be, and I'll do 30 minutes of yoga, or I'll watch a humorous sitcom for 30 minutes to just kind of get my mind, off. So it's funny that we have all these other forms of it's like, oh well, I'll go over to the tennis court and just hit the tennis ball for a little bit just to get my mind kind of, but for some reason it's like if you use cannabis to accomplish that same task, it's like, whoa, what, dude? Like, it's like, wait, you're we're all using demonized tools to accomplish this, and why is yours less legitimate? What? Oh,
I was just thinking about like golf. I always go back to golf for some reason. I'm like, because people say cannabis is a crutch. And like, in sometimes in relationships, they're like, oh, you spend too much money on cannabis, or, whatever the issue is. And I'm just using cannabis as the example because that's what we're talking about. But I always think about golf because there are men. I say men because traditionally it's men. I'm sure there's women and any other letter in the alphabet. I've never seen a woman golfer. She, he, they, them, whatever. We're exclusive. No, inclusive. We're inclusive.
I don't know. We're gonna have to edit this part anyway.
Wait, what was I saying? Golf. That's right. Golf. Anyways, no, that's four.
Four. All right.
think it's 3.
Yeah,
So
it's 4.
Oh, wait, no. Even a golfer.
What I'm going to say is that MJ will try to tell you that cannabis helps her keep her train of thought.
I wouldn't say that. Not at all. That's what he said.
Yeah.
See, I am paying attention.
So what is your train of thought?
So if a partner in the relationship decides that they want to spend more time at the golf course or the bowling alley or whatever it is, it then becomes a crush, the strip club. It then becomes a crutch and a problem in the relationship. Could even be the gym.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so yeah, I don't think cannabis is necessarily the problem.
I think we all have crutches. I think that's what we've been learning a lot about, and I think that's what I think the journal is going to really help with, is trying to find out what best helps you. Like, because we're all looking for things. Like, people talk about, the escape experience. Oh, people use, drugs and alcohol to escape. Okay, that may very well be true, but we also go to sporting events to escape. We also watch movies to escape. We also, we do lots of things to try to escape the grind of life. And I think when we talk a lot about, consuming cannabis, because it's not necessarily smoking, but consuming it or using it with intention, a cannabis journal kind of helps with that, to really narrow it down and go, how do I best deal with, because when you say, when you say cannabis keeps me in my lane, the question is, can you be even more in your lane if you smoked a different strain? Maybe it wasn't even smoking, it was a different method. Maybe it's a stronger dose, maybe it's a smaller dose. And really kind of breaking it down and going, okay, I know I have this problem. I know cannabis helps me with this problem, which I now stand on the side as a non-consuming advocate to know, I think cannabis has its place in a lot of people's lives. I would never say 100%, because I don't think 100% is good for anything.
Not in everybody's life.
Yeah.
But the question is, if it does, how do you maximize that? And I would imagine on your journey, and I'm going to let you probably flesh out the story, but I'm assuming there's some sort of thought process that leads somebody to produce a Cannabis Experience Journal. And I'm assuming it's got to have something to do with your own personal story. Am I wrong in that?
Well, a little bit. Like, for example,
I'm never wrong, Ryan.
Well, the thing is, why I started writing things down was because I couldn't remember the strains that I tried to begin with. So I knew that, like, cannabis, I was liking what it was doing for me. But the thing is, when I was getting into, like, the flavors, the smells and stuff like that, I wasn't keeping track of what I was trying. And then finally one day I tried this one strain that it blew me away. I love the flavor. I love the smell. It was so pungent. And the only way I can, like, describe the taste is kind of like when you eat meat and it stays in your stomach too long, and then you get, like, those sulfur burps and it comes back up in your mouth. It's just that I don't know how to explain it. Like, you don't want to taste that, like, when that happens. But in cannabis, it was just like, I don't know. But I was buying it from these gray market dispensaries before legalization. And back then they would just write the name of the strain down on the bag. So that time they didn't write it down, and I didn't know what the name of the strain was. So I went on a mission. I got to find what that strain is, because I want to tell my friends about it. I want to, talk about it. And I ended up having to go through, like, so many different strains until finally it came back around. And then once I tasted it and smelt it, I'm like, that is the one. And the one that it was Romulan.
Oh, that's so crazy, because as you were talking about those strains, I, in my head, had the whole chart. Do you remember that periodic table?
That's right.
Of the cannabis, and Romulan was the one that I was seeing.
Oh, okay.
That is so crazy, because that's an old school strain.
Yes.
That you don't see very often. I know you're old.
At one point,
I see what you're saying.
I wanted to name my son Romulus. That's a true story. But anyways,
I would have let you.
And then the thing is, though, too, when we transitioned from the gray markets to the legal markets, nobody was really producing Romulan in the beginning. And then eventually one company came out with a Romulan strain, Palmetto, and I wasn't really happy with it. You know, it didn't have the flavor and the smell that I remember, and it was lacking a little bit. But I gave it a shot. Then one day, 1964 dropped an organic Romulan, and when I tried that one, I was like, that is what I remember. You know, and
we literally just were talking to them about that, the Romulan, and they have a bunch of old strains, and I was like, oh my God, you're speaking to like my legacy heart right now.
But unfortunately now 1964 has discontinued the Romulan, so you can't get it from them anymore. I just found that out recently. Yeah. But at the Kind Festival, I did find out, I was speaking with them, and they said that they still have the mother plant, and there could be possibilities in the future for like little drops here and there kind of thing. So we'll see what they have in store for us.
You're like, hey, 1964, send us a little cutting. Send us a little branch. Come on, we know how to work that shit.
Send us some of the reserve.
Just send me a leaf.
So then the journal actually, I mean, this is what I love about our world, because there's the more you talk to people, the more you find out all these different paths, when sometimes you think there's one path. I immediately, because of my own personal story, look at a journal and go, that's going to help me narrow it down. You're somebody who's going, dude, this is for me to help me remember which ones I like and which ones I don't, which is a whole different thing and just as legitimate. And it'd be fascinating to me to hear other stories.
But that's the thing too. It started out that way, but then I realized like there's like all these other things that people are interested in too, like the flavors and the smells and the effects and the strengths. So that's how I kind of like got the idea to like even create the journal. And I'm not the first one to come out with like a Cannabis Experience Journal. Like people have been journaling for like a really long time, like years. And it mostly started in the medicinal cannabis space, you know, people documenting their cannabis medicine so they can try and work with their doctors to figure out what's working for them and what isn't. And that's kind of like where it all started from the beginning. But I just kind of like looked at all that and thought, you know, why isn't there something like this for the recreational market? Because it could still apply. And another thing I also realized is a lot of people that are using recreationally are trying to you know, they're consuming cannabis because they're having some kind of symptom that they want to relieve, or they're having issues. And the thing is, bud tenders are not allowed to give medical advice, and they're not trained for that. So there's kind of like a wall there that they can't cross. So you kind of have to figure things out for yourself when it comes to that kind of thing. And that's why a journal like this comes in handy, and why I thought it would be useful for the recreational market.
So did you look at journals and go like, because people talk about it's not a matter of creating something brand new, which is what you said. It's about going out and going, oh, this is already happening and here's how I can improve it. So had you already looked at a few journals and kind of gone, there's something still lacking here?
Yeah, what I did look at a few journals, and one of the things I realized is there wasn't like a lot of room to write notes. Some of them, they didn't have like an index at the back where you could just do quick reference to your strains. Another thing about these journals, some of them are branded, and people don't like to have like a brand on there. They like to have their own kind of thing. So I try to keep my like the brand off of there. It just says, you know, what the book is. Yeah, that's pretty much what I did.
See, I love the book specifically, like you were talking about recreational users. I know it's funny, I've just now realized that I am both a recreational and medicinal user, because it's when I use it and how I'm using it. Sometimes, like specifically now, I'm going to speak to rec users. You use it, I believe I use it recreationally for two reasons. One is when I want, so I don't like indica sativa for effects, because I don't believe in that. I believe it's more about the entourage effect and the terpenes and cannabinoids as well. But I call it thrill cannabis and chill cannabis. Okay. I'm either going to consume this cannabis and go like do something thrilling, or I'm going to consume this cannabis and then go do something chilling. Like I'm going to go chill. So those are the two reasons why I recreationally consume. And this is why I like, specifically, you brought it up, the notes section in this part, because that's where I like to put, as soon as I'm like feeling it or whatever, I like to put activities that I would do like specifically on this strain. So this one is great for, like, say, cleaning the house, because I can get focused and stay busy. This one's great for chilling and watching movies, or, you know, like I really like that, because that note section, it gives you space to write whatever you want to put in there.
Pretty much. Yeah. And that, and that was the idea behind it too, was, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible so it could be used by anybody, like an enthusiast or even somebody who's just a beginner. And when you do something like that, it's like the personal preferences can be endless. So that's why I had to make sure there's like a note space there. So if there's anything that I forgot or that's not included, you can add it in there yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now you don't have thrill or chill, so in your next edition,
maybe in the
want
second
you to put
edition.
that in there. But we need a cut. We need a cut of that, 'cause we're going to
we'll work out the
that.
details. You know.
Okay.
That's
funny. All right. Like when I'm looking at it here, what I like about it, and I've seen some other journals, because we knew that at some point in my journey, it would be healthy to have to walk down and go, because I always have to ask her. It's like, I've smoked four joints in my life, and I still need to figure out, what did I have? I have no idea. I can remember the moments and kind of what happened, but I don't remember the details. So this is good. But what I did like about yours is, first of all, when you open it, there's usually two things that I've found. One is it's very let's
confusing.
Say, it's almost
visually.
Like
that's what I struggle
with. It seems
with.
like too much going on, and it's just like it's too overwhelming. And maybe
it's overwhelming.
Maybe it's just how it's written. Sometimes it almost looks very sanitized and corporate kind of thing.
This is very clean and simple to see and understand.
Right.
And
it's easy to read. It doesn't feel like it's been slapped together, but it also doesn't feel like you're looking at a textbook.
Like, oh my God, how am I supposed to fill this out? It's very easy to understand.
But it also has enough guidance in it, because other ones that I've seen have too many long blank line notes and not enough guidance. And it's kind of like, well, as a newbie, what am I supposed to be even like writing here? There's not enough. And so the way you've laid this thing out, it's super easy to go through. I think from a newbie standpoint, and you can hear from the doobie in a minute, but from the newbie standpoint, I look at it and go, everything I've been learning as I've been talking to people and through doing this podcast and in my relationship with MJ, it seems to cover all the little things that I would need to do. And
as a doobie, I'm looking at this going, there are some things that I might not even, like, if this wasn't here, I would have skipped over it, and then later on I would have been like, shit, but what were the nodes? Like, here you say flavor profile, and there are options like berry, pine, pepper, citrus, sweet, wood, earthy. Like, these are things that, especially if you do it while you have the book and the journal in front of you, you can, like, it's beautiful. It's brilliant.
It's really, really well laid out. And
I love the overall rating with the how many cannabis leaves.
The overall rating is good. The thing at the back, like you were talking about, where you can put in just kind of a short summary, is super helpful.
Or the index.
Yeah, the entry and index at the back.
Even at the beginning with the terpenes and the flavor profile.
That's huge.
It's a great way to start. It's a great way, like I said, it has enough information. I think it's done in a really nice
any
way.
Conversation we can have with people on terpenes, as well as, like, because everyone's, what's the THC? What's the THC? And like, is it indica? Is it sativa? Guys,
there's so much more
like,
to it.
Honestly, I choose my cannabis the same way I choose my race horses when I bet. Okay, I choose them by name. I'll bet on it once, and if it's a loser, I'm probably not going to bet on you again.
Yeah.
So
I used to be that guy too. you know, just follow the THC, you know. Oh, what's the strongest THC you got? And then one day I realized, because I got sold you know, 30% THC, and I went home and smoked it, and it was like, you know, it felt like it was like, man. And then I realized, you know, it really doesn't matter, because I got another strain. Maybe it was sitting at 21%, and the effects that I got from that were way better than the 30%. And then that's when it just clicked one day.
Mine was a 15% that I smoked that set me over and above, and I was just like, how in the fuck is that even possible? And then you start educating yourself, and that's what it is. It's the education behind it.
Is some of that connected to the quality of the cannabis? Like, could two people say this has 30% THC and one not do as much as the other simply because the quality of the cannabis? Is that a thing?
So it depends too. Like Rye Guy and I can consume the same 30% cannabis, the same joint, and he might feel nothing and I might feel wrecked, because like I just said, it's more about the terpenes, the THC, the cannabinoids. And like we always talk about, it's different for each person. Every strain affects us differently, which is why I'm like, this is why I'm preaching about this fucking experience journal, because it's the education and it's your own personal experience. Because, you know, I can speak till I'm blue in the face about how I love pink kush, but you might hate kush. You might hate pink strains altogether. It's all just how your body reacts with it.
And I think what this journal does then is it breaks down, like if someone goes, because I like to ask the question why. I think that's it's an incredible,
he's like a kid.
It's an incredibly important question. My daughter used to ask all the time, and it was annoying as a parent.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that she did that. And so, you know, I want people to ask themselves, like, why do you smoke cannabis? But I think it also breaks it down to when someone says, I didn't like that joint.
Yeah.
And the question, well, why? Well, I don't know. And by doing something like the journal, you end up scrolling through and going, oh, I don't like anything with pepper. I get it now.
Yeah. Exactly.
And a quick flip through with that flavor profile up at the top, right? I could skim this book by flipping through, and you would see a pattern form pretty quickly and go, wait, wow, look, it looks like Earth is the one that always gets checked off here.
Well, no, and if you go even deeper, look at this. So if you go into the terpenes, back to the terpenes and flavor profile, you just said you don't like the pepper ones. You can literally find, okay, so here it would be, let's just use floral, okay? So it tells you which terpenes are floral terpenes. And then you can go, oh, maybe I don't like linalool. Maybe my body doesn't like linalool. So every strain that you see in the cannabis store that says the underlying terpene is linalool, you're like, you know what? I'm not going to try that one, because every time I've tried something that has linalool.
And look, we all know cannabis is getting very, it can be expensive, especially for the good stuff. And you want something like this so you can sit there and make sure that you're not wasting your money and go, man, I forgot this was the one I didn't like.
I've given away so much cannabis, like, because of that reason. And I've learned I don't like gas. Anytime I get a gas strain, I know exactly who to give it to. The stuff that I go, oh my God, that's disgusting. One of my best friend's husbands is like, it's delicious. It's like, that's his favorite terpene. So it works out well.
So as a newbie, I have one question about the profile though.
Sure.
Everything in here, what I like too, is that you're not using, and maybe in some cases you wouldn't have to, but it's written, you're using just regular, like you don't have to be, it's not cannabis-ese. Is that what we call it? It's like, you know, you have your own language, right? In the cannabis. So a newbie coming in, I can read this. I get it all. Flavor profile. I don't know anything about flavor profiles, but I understand, oh, that's the flavor. I understand, right? It's written nicely. The only one that I look at and I'm like, what is, I don't know what sublingual is.
Well,
what's sublingual.
So look, don't tell him. I just want to see if I can direct him without giving him the answer.
Okay, sure. Okay.
So
go for it.
Look at what this word is. It says method.
Method, yes.
So look at the other types of methods that are there.
Yep, vape. Yep.
Okay, so you know what that one is.
Yeah, I know what vaping is and smoking. So both of those are kind of smoking combustion kind of things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Ingest would be an edible.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Dab is like that's like a concentrate, I believe, like, right, like where it's really concentrated and you got to like scrape that ugly honey goo or something off of it.
So we have smoking, vaping, eating.
Yeah, and then there's topicals.
Dabbing. Yeah, so that's probably what this
there's a blank space.
So if you do topicals, you can put that
topical
there. So what is sublingual? Doctors prescribe these sorts of types of prescriptions as well.
Was like what do they call it when they stick it up your butt? One of those ones.
That's a great guess.
Is that what it was?
Isn't that a great guess?
It's kind of close. It's kind of close.
That's a suppository.
Suppository.
Yeah. But that kind of goes.
It's not close.
That one goes in the.
If it's close, you're doing something I don't want to know about.
Okay.
Oh man.
So just as a hint, sublingual. I don't.
Lingual, like language.
Lingual is like language.
Like language comes sublingual.
So you put it under your.
Yeah.
Tongue?
So basically, it goes in your mouth and like under your tongue, and you absorb it through the membrane in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be like through like a drop of oil.
It could be, yeah. It could be a tincture. It could be. They have oral sprays. Yeah.
Okay.
Even some of these edibles that are coming out, these lozenges, you put them in your mouth and you suck on them or put them under your tongue, and you absorb the THC that way. Yeah.
So
that's funny because I was thinking when Timmy said ingest and he said edibles, the other thing I was thinking is capsules. Because you can actually like swallow the capsules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just brought you back there. We lost you visually.
We didn't lose you, but we lost you.
Yeah, we lost you. It's all good.
Okay.
So here's my I have great reviews for this thing. Mm-hmm. But is there a way that we can simplify sublingual?
I just put oral.
Yeah, maybe oral. That's some good feedback. Yeah.
I'm like, I feel
it's the one thing that as a newbie, it's the one thing in the book where I'm just like, wait, I wouldn't know what that was.
This isn't a cannabis term though. This is a medical term.
Oh, I know, but that's what I was saying earlier is that what I like about it is that it doesn't feel textbooky. And that word is the one word.
I got
the one word that feels
Yeah.
medical and feels texty. And I'm kind of like, but I don't know that. So even though I don't know what know what a dab is.
Oh, that's good. I can hear that.
I've heard the term even in the cannabis industry, but I haven't. Because that's not a cannabis word.
Yeah,
I don't know. So yeah, so that's my newbie feedback. Is
okay? I appreciate that. No, that's great feedback.
Kind of like, oh,
yeah, that's great. You know, I love getting feedback from the journal, if it's positive or negative, because what it does, it just helps me improve on it. You know, this is the first edition that I've created, and I plan on creating, like updating it as time goes on when I get everybody's feedback, because at the end of the day, I want it to be used by the cannabis community. So if it's not doing what it needs to do for you guys, then it's not going to work. So I love getting feedback, even if it's negative, and I appreciate that so much, really.
No,
I'm.
It's a great book, and I think companies would be brilliant to contact you and figure out some way to have this in their branded. I know you're like, you don't want to add branded logo, but I'm sure other companies might want to add their branded logo. So I think they should do that. I think they should reach out.
How many? Maybe this isn't the right answer or right question, but how many iterations of it? How much time did you spend with the layout? And you're like, not right, not right until you're like, I'm going to publish this.
So it took me maybe 3 months. I was working on it. I was sitting on the idea for maybe 3 months before that. And then after 3 months of thinking about it, I actually like started like doing the work on it. Like, I have pieces of paper. Like if you check out some of my old TikToks. I have a TikTok like, how did this become this, and it kind of shows you the steps I went through, and you even see like the paper where I had like everything laid out, and I'm saying, no, this should be like this and this should be like that. And even I had ideas for the cover that I laid out that it looks nothing like it looks now, but very similar, just to get my idea across, because I don't have the skill to to get on a computer and create an image myself. So I had to convey that to somebody to create the image for me. But the person that did it for me would just, but it was all because I kind of created things visually as well to show them like, this is my idea. Yeah. So it took me about 3 months, and then I published the first cover, which is the just looks like a leather cover over here, the original one. And then after that, we released the pink one, then the leopard print, then we did camo, and then I think you have the black version. Then the last cover we did, which is our newest one, is the rainbow one, which is also behind me over here.
Yeah.
Do you have one that when you've got them all laying out on a table or you bring them to an event, do you have one cover that kind of is the best seller?
So I would say our best seller is the rainbow one, and our second best before I came out with the rainbow one was the pink one, actually.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Now, did you have, so sometimes when we have a baby and we love the baby, and then, we find out that, other people don't love our baby as much, but they love the other baby we had, because, every parent has a favorite kid and a not so favorite kid, all those type of things. They don't like to admit it, but it's true. It's just human nature. Like, did you have a cover and you're like, I love this cover, and then it turned out that it wasn't the one that everybody else was having? Because it sounds like you're interested in what everybody else wants, and it should be as when you're creating a product. But did you have any of the other covers where you're like, this is the one?
I feel like it might be the leather looking one.
Yeah, for me, like the first one was the original, and I thought that was going to be the one. And I was surprised that the rainbow one is the top seller. And but for me, one little thing about me is I like camouflage. I collect camouflage. I wear camouflage. And I like those colors. Like, you probably see me wearing like camo green and stuff. That's just like things I like in my style. So I'm kind of biased that way, where I say I like the camo cover, but that one doesn't seem to be the most popular one, but that's okay.
But there's something for everyone, and I think that's we often talk about, one of the things I learned that's the most evident in my journey here has been that weed doesn't equal weed. I've understood the complexity of it all, which is what the journal really highlights. But I think that's true. Like, when you've got something like a journal, I think it's important to have all those different colors, because
cannabis consumers are not
you're
all
personalizing
just cannabis consumers. We're not all potheads.
As much as the journal would be great if you just had a black cover, by doing it this way, you really do, you personalize the experience, and that just highlights what this book is about.
And I feel like there's 100 entries, and
that's right.
I mean, we're going to consume more than 100 different strains. So you
collect them all.
Yeah, you just go in whatever and pick a different color next time, and you'll be able to remember which is 100 through 200. And,
Now, do you have anything in place or coming up that will allow somebody to personalize their cover and go, you know what, it's going to be on my bedstand, and my room is teal and orange. Can I get a book that matches my bedroom, please? And I'll pay extra for it.
Ooh, customizing. I want an orange one.
I haven't had that happen yet, but
I have a room that's teal and orange. I would like one with teal and orange. So it's happening right now in live.
All right. Well, we just like our other deal, we'll work out the details, and
I love it.
We'll see what we can do.
That's a true businessman right there. We'll talk later.
We'll talk later. This isn't the place.
I love it.
What are you most excited about going forward here? Our time with you is slowly coming to an end here. We've thoroughly enjoyed having you on. We've been looking forward to this, and I look forward to using the journal. But where is Rye Guy and Canna Publishing? What are you excited about going forward?
besides the ride, because we all know the
Yeah,
journey
The
is
journey's
fun,
always
but
yeah.
where are you like aiming?
So okay, so basically what I'm aiming is I want to just keep improving the product that I have, and I'm gonna keep doing that. What I want to start doing is and I've already started doing it, is getting out in the field more, like going to these events, meeting people and growing. I want to start getting into doing interviews with people in the industry, like CEOs, growers, LPs, and I want to kind of show what's going on behind the scenes of the cannabis industry in Canada. I've started a website. I wouldn't say it's where I want it to be right now, but it's getting there. Like, I do everything myself. I'm a one-man show, you know.
We're a
So
two-man show, but we get it. Yeah.
How
and
dare you assume my gender?
uh-oh.
Jeez.
That'll cause problems later.
There's 2 edits on the show.
No edits. Jeez, I
It's
stand
go
by what I
it's
say.
going in.
All
It's going
fun.
in.
It's going in.
I'll say that later too.
So that's where I'm going is so basically I want to get into doing interviews and just show what's going on behind the scenes in the cannabis industry. So if there's anybody out there watching, you want me to come do an interview, feature your brand or your products, reach out anytime. I'm on Instagram at Canna Publishing, and and I'm just still riding the wave. And there's going to be more events coming that hopefully I can get to. And if you see me at an event, just come up and say hi. I'm a friendly guy. I'm a little bit introverted, so I might not be the first person to come up to you, but if you come up to me, I'd be so happy to have a chat, honestly.
That's awesome.
You did a fantastic thing at the Kind Summer Fair.
Oh, that was a great idea.
And that was walking around and asking people to fill out a page of the journal. It was a great interactive way. It didn't feel like you were trying to sell journals. It didn't feel like like just a salesman. And how many did you collect? How many people actually sat down and filled out a page of journal talking about strains that they liked?
So I got about 43 entries.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's almost half a book.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, I just went around, and wherever I went, somebody might say, "Oh, what's that in your hand?" and start talking about it, and then I'd be like, "Hey, you want to write in it?" Write in it, and
nice.
it was very well received at the Kind Fair, and I think there might have been only like 3 people that kind of weren't interested, but that's okay. There's no pressure. It is what it is.
Well, and I got the privilege of filling out the very first one.
Absolutely, yeah. Bruce Banner number 3.
Case. Bruce Banner 3, and I wrote I filled out your entire note section.
That's right.
Did you say we were watching the Hulk?
I didn't know. I was running out of space. I mean, I could have used another page to explain my story, but I'm like, this book's not about telling my story.
Well, one thing I thought was brilliant when I seen Timmy writing in the journal, I was like, so at the end of the day, Rye Guy, you went home with 43 different strains, and probably some of them you might not have heard of, might not have tried, are available on the market, and now you have a little catalog of things that you could try because you're like, ooh, this one's fruity, this one's spicy, like I'm gonna try this one.
Did you have any duplicates or anything that really, like, not just one or two, but something where you're like, oh, this strain actually showed up multiple times?
I think Pink Kush ended up in there a couple times. I think. I think I saw Pink Kush twice in there.
Yeah.
Okay, but that, I mean, for 43 entries, talking to random people, that's, once again, it shows the number of variety out there. Mm-hmm. If you can only think of one that maybe had 2 entries, that means there was like over 40 different strains mentioned by people, and shows how personalized the cannabis journey is for people, right? Because some people say, "Oh, I can't believe you like that," and it's like, "Well, which one do you like? Well, I love that one. Well, I can't believe you love that one." It's like, "Well, hey, guess what? Neither of us are right or wrong.
Yeah,
it's everyone's personal journey."
The answer is you're both right.
No,
yes,
because that cannabis is right for you.
That's not true.
Well, you're not wrong.
Live your own truth.
Oh, okay. We're definitely editing that out.
I'm not getting involved in that one.
your truth. Sorry.
We've already.
I'm like my doobie.
Look, I think we've already sold the journal. Okay, we've already done that. Here's what I like, and I'm more fascinated with people than I am with products. It's why we go to events. The event is just fancy packaging for a group of people. It's just a new way to get a bunch of people
and
together.
And a product is just a product. We could have showed this without you.
Yeah, sure. Say, hey, we like this. So here's what I like about, and this is the type of stuff that the reason why you're even on the show. I like the product. Great. I could have taken the product and we could have just talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've said multiple times about being an introvert. And introverts, it could have been very easy for you to set up a website, post some stuff online. And it tells me a lot about not just who you are as a human being, but about your passion for this book and what you think it can accomplish. Is this introvert walks into the Kind Summer Fair, jam-packed with people, and you approached individuals, strangers, and said, hey, want to write in my journal? There's a lot of people in this world that never would have even ventured into something like that. And that says a lot.
That's the power of cannabis, though. I feel like
cannabis fueled?
You were an introvert, but that cannabis fueled you enough that you're like, I want to go talk about my book.
I think it was just passion fueled.
It was three things, all right? It was
Maybe
the passion.
It was financially fueled.
it was
I gotta sell these things.
It was the passion, it was the cannabis, but also it was the support from the community as well. Because some of the people that I've met at Lyft have also been at these events that I've been showing up to, especially Kind. And they know my story because I've spoken to them and told them what I've been doing and where I come from and where this is all going. And, and I told them I'm introverted, this and that. And people like, Jesse Paul, just encourage me, like, just get out there and do it and get people to write in your journal and it's going to be great. And, and it's just the people that I met there that really encouraged me. Like I had my phone out there. I was kind of just like standing there looking kind of shy. And someone's just like, no, they know what you're doing. Just get up there and do it. Then who cares if people are watching you? They know what you're doing. It's going to be on Instagram later. So I'm like, what? Yeah. Why am I being so self-conscious about it, and just do my own thing. And it just kind of, and even for me, I'm so proud of myself because I feel like I've pushed myself so far out of my comfort zone that, I come home that day and just told my family that I can't believe I did that today,
I just want to say, way to go, because I stepped out of the shadows 2014, so 10 years next year of cannabis advocacy and being in the entertainment space. And as I'm listening to you, I'm like, yeah, it is a combination of all of those things. It's the passion, it's the drive, it's the cannabis, it is the community, because I'm like, I'm just so proud to say welcome. Like, welcome, Ryan.
Yeah, thank
welcome
you so
to this
much.
Community. And I can't wait to see you grow, because I could show photos from me from 10 years ago. Actually, I made the news in 2014. This is what changed me. I made the news at the 420 rally in Toronto, talking about how cannabis is safer than alcohol. And, as adults, we should be able to make the choice. And I was a very young, shy, like, I want to say like dark-haired girl, because like I'm like pink now. And you've seen me at events. I'm probably wearing the brightest color clothing I own, and I'm running around talking to everybody because I don't feel like an introvert anymore. I really don't. I can't say I am. So welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much, because ever since I came to Lyft and met everybody, that's the way I felt, is just so welcomed by everybody. And the cannabis community in Canada are amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter when you come. I've said this too. Like, I remember Jackie Childs. She was saying, "Oh, people call me a fake or whatever, a phony, because I just came into cannabis later in life." It's like, it does not matter when you change your opinion on cannabis. Welcome to the team.
Yeah.
Welcome to the family. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Timmy, you were how old? I don't even know. Old enough that he spent, a good portion of his life thinking cannabis was
well
evil.
over 40 years of not understanding.
So welcome.
Okay.
For the record, one of the things that MJ and I have in common is I currently am wearing the brightest color clothing that I own too. This is
That's true.
Yeah, this I'm wearing the brightest. Oh, we almost lost you right at the end. Are you there?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay,
I'm here.
It's like, what?
I'm guessing you got a phone call or something. Someone's trying to.
So we are. That's okay. We're at our time here. So it was like, are you kidding me? It's going to shut up right at the end here. One more time, remind everybody about what the journal. Yeah. How do they get the journal? How do they connect with you?
So it's the Cannabis Experience Journal by Canna Publishing. We're on Instagram at Canna Publishing. We're also available on Amazon. And if you want to buy it in person, we're available at all the Green Merchant locations. We're going to be available very soon at Cannabis Hut Coxwell location. And if you're in the USA, you can also purchase the Cannabis Experience Journal at the Good Life store in Albany, Georgia.
Oh, nice.
That's beautiful.
So now you're going to have this rush of people from all over the states getting in their RVs, driving to that one location.
That would be awesome.
That's right. We got to call our buddy and tell him to get there first.
Yeah, we'll send someone over. Rye Guy, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for connecting with us, because you actually came to us at Lyft, and so if you hadn't done that, we might not have found you. I definitely will be using your journal to document in the near future, hopefully, and we'll make sure that you're in touch with that journey as well as we utilize it. So thank you so much again. We hope you have a tremendous success with the journal and with the other things that you have before you. And thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. And thank you guys so much as well. I really enjoyed myself having a conversation with you guys on here. And I look forward to the future. And anytime, if you want me to come back and talk some more, I'm open to that as well. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You will be guaranteed to come on the show the moment I receive my orange and teal Cannabis Experience Journal. So all right. It's really in your court now, Rye Guy.
Fair enough.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, follow Rye Guy there at Canna Publishing on Instagram, and rewind this and find out all the other information. We'll put some links below as well. Thanks for watching another episode of the Noobie and the Doobie. My name is Timmy.
His name is Timmy.
That's Mary Jane. That's Rye Guy. Have a great day.